Hi everybody, I'm David with Bolivar Live, and we're going to talk real estate today at some point, maybe. But what I want to talk about today is Dan Priest from Priest Insurance Agency. They're in Lumberton, but they have ties down here and do a lot of insurance down here. Dan, thanks for joining us. We were talking before we got mic'd up, talking about Ike. Yeah. And I was telling you about my first trip down here, and you were telling me about yours. And you had a home here before. Mm-hmm. Gustav, the week before Ike.
Yep.
I left, took the boat to Sealy, moved everything out, came back a week later or a couple days later, and I think it was Gustav.
I think it was Gustav, yeah.
And then another week later, I was pulling out, but this time I didn't come right back. Tell me about Gustav and when you come down, what you did versus with Ike and what you saw.
Okay, that's an interesting thing. The old houses that were lower, and the old protocol was you show up and nothing was ever going to happen, but you came down and did all the prep work. So prior to that hurricane that was a week or two before Ike, I came down and I picked up some things that were important in the cabin. It's remarkable what you pick up. I picked up a coffee cup, some oars that were part of the first thing we had, a sign that my sister had bought for the cabin right immediately back in 1972. And I got my boat, which you needed, and I took all that back.
And that one, I can't remember where it went, but I remember pulling out and pulling everything out, and a lot of people did, and then it didn't do anything.
Right.
We weren't even affected by it.
No, and that that happens a lot. And part of the thing, it's never going to happen to us, or it's never going to happen again. You just kind of did some stuff. You came down and we had pull-up windows, and you tied those down real well, and you just took precautions, picked things up, and that's what I did. And
it's sort of like we were talking about in one of our last shows with insurance. It's not if you're going to need it, it's when you're going to need it.
It's when, and we don't know. But it was the same feeling. I mean, it was like, okay, we'll get it. This is just what we're supposed to do. Brought it back and came back in. And then about that same time, Ike was sitting way off the coast of Africa. And if you remember, they were talking about it initially turning up into the Atlantic and not really a big deal. And my sister, funny thing is, she was like, man, I'm worried about this one. And it was like going to go on the Northeast coast. And time went on, and it was a week later. And I hadn't come back down to the beach to do the obligatory bring all your stuff back thing.
Right.
And anyway, just kind of kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And it came up to a few days before the storm. And in the past, you normally came down, you spent the night, you left the next morning. That's what I always did. But it was time. I just had a feeling I needed to come back down and look things over again. And I did. And got down that night, and it was an eerie feeling.
What animals do you see?
Possums and skunks. I remember driving up, and they were always here, but you never really saw them. And these animals, the two that I saw, they were like, I remember thinking to myself, it looks like they're running for the hills. And it was a strange thing. I remember the sky being a different, just a different color, and it was unnervingly quiet here. I don't know if it's because of what was coming, or I don't know if it was because everybody had just already pulled out. But in an unusual thing, I remember backing up and leaving, and I remember saying bye to the place. It was I remember saying goodbye, and
it's tough on everyone.
It was, and all the stuff that came right after that, because it really looked like it was going to kind of follow Rita's path for a while, and the last minute just swung in on us, and
well, I can remember it was going into Rockport and Corpus.
Oh, yes,
and we've got, at the time I was sponsored by Haney, and their plant and stuff's in Port O'Connor. and I remember telling them, hey, if y'all need anything, if we need to help you get anything out, that was like on a Monday. And I remember calling a kid I knew over at the weather service, and he could always tell me when the fronts were coming in, you know, or when a storm was, you know,
Gotta love fronts.
Yeah, coming across the bay. And he told me on that Monday, he said, man, this is off the record. I'm telling you, Surfside to Galveston. And so, you know, we had other boats down here, but it was when we were pulling out, and I had a house in Katy and a boat down here, and I moved everything out and moved the trailer, but yeah, it was that feeling. And I remember Mickey Eastman talking about the crawfish were building up their holes. And he kept saying the crawfish are building their holes, the ants are, you know, are building their mounds.
Yep.
And so it's animals know, you know, when a front's coming in and all that. So
it was a weird sense that it was just eerie that night. And I went on back that night, and then, you know, the whole protocol with what came the next day when it hit here, and there was nothing. You knew nothing other than it was hitting, and yet the pictures from the seawall, and you could see it. You knew it was bad. And I'm sure, like everybody else, when satellite pictures came up the next day, I remember looking down on it and seeing what was going on, and like, first I think I'm seeing roofs, and then, you know, the closer you look,
it's slabs.
It's nothing but slabs. And
how long had your family had a home here?
My dad gave our family the option to go to Venice or to buy a beach house, and we're like, let's buy a beach house, because who wants to go to Venice is what we thought. And it was the best decision I think he ever made in his life. He came down and found this old cabin that was grown up, and for $4,000 bought 2 lots in the old house for $4,000, and we started cleaning up and coming down every weekend and all summer.
How old were you then?
I was 12.
12?
Mm-hmm. My dad worked in Beaumont, and he was grateful enough he commuted all summer, and so I was just beach
You
around.
lived here during?
Yeah, you know.
A lot of people did that in the summertime. And rentals weren't big down here then. And so families used their homes to the max, and they closed them up after Labor Day a lot of times, and then they'd be back, you know. But we were sitting here, and there's a Christmas tree here, and I said, oh, you're decorated for Christmas. And you said you spend Christmas here with your family.
Yeah, parts of it. I mean, we go in different spots, but we always, for many years, have come down and, you know, we open a present and have a little bit of Christmas here. It's home for us all.
So you lost your home in Ike. Was there any thought about not rebuilding?
Never.
Never crossed your mind?
No. No, it was like, as soon, you know, right after Ike, nobody knew. And then, you know, coming back down, that first trip down was very emotional. And I'll get to your question in just a second. But we mentioned coming down as a kid, those same kids that were here all summer, that came from Houston or Port Neches or Port Arthur, and we all hung out together. It was like we all met here at the same time, and we just all bawled together. And it was such a huge part of our lives that was lost, it seemed. And so right there, I think nobody knew what was going to happen next. And but it was a very short period of time. Probably when we knew we were going to get power back. Remember that?
Yes.
When power was coming, it was like, let's go.
And they had trucks lined up for miles.
They did.
And they were rolling, and I mean, coming down 124 and coming into when Highland got some power, and then it started trickling down here. I can remember, because I was staying down here after I came back, I think in January, and man, at night it was dark.
It was dark. I mean, nothing. And you know,
and you could see from the beach to the bay because everything was cleared out.
The you know, the funny part of that is like these huge milestones, and we don't And I don't even know if these entities or things know what it meant. Maybe they do, but like power coming back, that was big. The big store opening, and that was huge. Stingery opening up.
The big store opened up with what was needed down here, building supplies first, and then they started bringing in groceries. And Keith and I have done a show talking about that, and I said, is it one of those build it and they will come? And he said, yeah, but people look at you crazy when you're doing that. And Stingery opened, I want to say it was Valentine's Day. But yeah, it was the milestones of when this opened, and our first convenience store back open, I think, was a trailer on the side of the road, if I remember right, that was selling cigarettes and stuff. So anyway, you didn't hesitate to rebuild.
No, a friend of mine that was part of our fishing group, named Jimmy Christian. He had a lot of building experience, and he built a few houses, and we were the second one he built. I think our building permit pulled, I don't know, maybe in May of 2009. Yeah, and we were finished and completed at the beginning of 2010.
2010.
And you talk about dark, you get here and we were like the first one up on our road. And there was nothing to the east, nothing to the west, and street lights were just a non-existent thing.
Yeah.
And it was dark. And
I remember all that. So you were in the insurance business, though, when Ike hit.
Yes.
What did you learn dealing with Ike on your personal note that you're able to carry in? Was there anything special that you learned, or that you see how valuable it is?
Insurance to value and insurance correctly, which we had insurance on our old house, and it was a small house, and but it was well insured, and the process of rebuilding and the things that are available on those products, and it's one thing to talk about them, and it's another thing to experience them. So a total loss from a flood or a fire or whatever it is, or even a partial loss, you learn some stuff. And with us, we were doing some business down here, but the way we all lived down here before was different than what has come after. And so diving into discounts and how you build and what things are worth, and was a big gig, and how to help people get back and obtain the most from their policy. For example, increased cost of construction on flood insurance was a big deal, where people could get some money to help elevate their old structure that wasn't even there anymore.
Right.
There was an additional $30,000 that was available for that. Going through the permitting process, helping people with early elevation certificates, cutting costs on insurance when you first start to build. It was probably an advantage in being here and then going through the building process early. We had already been in business for more than 10 years, but it was a different perspective, especially for down here, and it actually was probably the reason we started purposely insuring places down here.
Yeah, and we've talked about why you're down here now, and you've referred back to going through the steps and knowing what it takes, because a lot of people sell insurance, but they haven't been through the process, and they don't really know the coastal part of insurance, because it's different down here versus inland. And so with your ties here and going through all that, it can't be anything but a benefit to the person that is dealing with Priest Insurance.
We hope so. No matter what people do, you should probably use somebody that's familiar with coastal structures, whether it's us or somebody that just does business on the coast. It's different. It's not the same. But it's been a good experience for us, and it's been fun coming back and seeing people on the beach. That's a nice thing.
And then we were talking about Harvey and some of your employees there. Who was it that drove from Houston that had just started with you, or maybe it wasn't Harvey.
It was Ike.
Ike, was it Ike?
Yeah.
And someone was driving from Houston every day to work the insurance and take care of things.
So we've learned a lot, and in our business, and how to stay open even in hard things. And back then we didn't have the technology we did now, even in 2006 with Ike. So
2008, wasn't it?
I believe it was 6.
Was it?
Yeah, 2008 was Ike. 2005 maybe. 2008 was Ike. And
Yeah.
Rita, I'm talking about Rita.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me. They run
Yeah,
together.
because Rita affected y'all over there where it didn't
Yeah.
affect us, other than we were without power for a week.
It was actually Rita, the person you're
Right.
talking about.
Okay.
Is Shay, my office
Right.
manager. And she hadn't worked for me very long. And she
got a heck of a way broken in,
man,
didn't
she
she?
did. And we all, that was our first real learning experience, because we were dealing with a lot of losses that occurred in East Texas from a big windstorm. And all hurricanes are different. You can say every one of them is a different event. Sometimes it's a wind event and a flood event. But she drove from Houston for 2 weeks. She didn't have a place to stay, and because of damage in her house, and we didn't have air conditioner, but she was showing up every day helping clients. And we now have a protocol to be open no matter what. Thank goodness for technology and our phone system to help people. But we have a committed staff that have really been through the ringer with Rita, with Ike, with Harvey, and Imelda from last year. And being up from the East Texas area with those storms, it's a lot of water. And we've had a lot of experience helping people get back on their feet.
Good.
Not perfect, but good.
So you rebuilt down here.
Yep.
And in fact, we're sitting in his home now. Beautiful home. Got a great view of the beach, but it's not front row, but it's 4 or 5 houses back with a great view. And you made a comment that corner of the deck is where those chairs are, is where they were in the old house.
Yep.
And that's where y'all drank your coffee and enjoyed life down here, both before Ike and now after Ike. And he's got 4 perfect captain's chairs sitting there. In fact, I was sitting there a little bit while ago, and I was like, man, you give me a cup of coffee and I can eat some biscuits out here.
It's a good place to sit. A couple of things that roots are very important to families, and roots are important to us as well. And so this has been an important place for not just our families, but our friends in growing up, and people that come here every year to go fishing or to just spend a little bit of summer, and families that'll vacation in. So that little corner where you're sitting is literally on the spot in the lot. And when you come up our stairs, there's another little tribute to the old place. You couldn't walk under it. You had to bend, and a lot of knotheads came from it. But the turn on the stairs is the height of the other house.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that are there that are in remembrance to that. So.
Yeah, and you've got the paddles, you've got the Port-au-Prince, and he's got all kinds of photos that we went through looking at other houses. So, the whole point of this show was to show ties and to work local. A lot of people, I hear them gripe about insurance agents, but, they've gone through it. Priest Insurance Agency has gone through Rita, they've gone through Ike, they've gone through Harvey, just because they have an office in Lumberton and ties down here. And so, they know what you're going through when it happens, whether it be a storm or a flood or a fire or anything. Yeah. It's different whenever, and your employees are all from that area, and so that probably all of them have experienced, at least Harvey and Imelda, a lot of them, and some of them Ike and Rita.
We have 3 of them that have been here since Ike.
Yeah.
And those girls have been with me 10 plus years. But it's been a real journey down here, and and talking about the things that Ike. I know Randy from golf carts. He and I have known each other since kindergarten.
Yeah, I heard stories.
Yeah, there's a few. Most of them are about him.
Yeah.
I was the good guy. Anyway, Randy and I, after Ike, I remember sitting, and he came down, and he would just walk the beach and pick up these huge shells. Matter of fact, one of them's over there that he gave me. And it's been a real journey in coming back. It's been fun.
Great.
And it's a different place now.
Well, and you and I have been talking for a while now. And the good part is you want to help people. You want to work with them, whether they have insurance with you or maybe just looking over a policy and giving them some ideas.
Yep.
It's all about working local with people that have homes here, that have businesses here, that know the area. So anyway, any other last thoughts on your ties down here? Your kids have grown up here.
They have, and they're just saying that we've always said, and I've heard you say it too, getting sand between your toes. Well, it never gets out once it's there, and I'm really happy that Alex and Emily both have that sand, and the people.
It's different down here.
Well, the people that we're with, it's like the more you spend time here, you love something where you spend your time, and they do. Alex is coming down tonight and spending the night with part of her work, and Emily's friends show up. They were here not long ago.
Yeah.
And we come every weekend. We come with, Kimberly comes and her girls come, and we just have a good time with what we're doing, and we just like living here.
Yeah.
And that's so. I don't know if there's anything else except, going in. It's comforting to come here and go into the big store and see John.
Yeah.
And the same faces are you or whoever.
Great. Well, if you have any questions on anything, please contact Priest Insurance. Like Dan was explaining, their office staff has the experience. They've been through the storms. They know what to look for, and they care about and want to make sure that you're happy in case like we say, it's not a matter of if you're going to need it, it's when you're going to need it. That when we do have a problem down here, that you're covered. And, Priest Insurance is someone that's been through it. They've got ties to the community down here, and they work for their customers. So any information you need can be found on their website at priestinsurance.com. And you can email them from there. You can call them from there and get information and set up a meeting. They'll come down here and look at your home and help you on any insurance needs or packages, maybe your vehicles and your home, and you're going to start renting your home. So they talk to them and they can set you in the right direction. Dan, we're going to head on out. Thank you. Giving us a little history on your family and your insurance. Until next time, I'm David with Bolivar Live. Y'all have a great day, great week. Come see us. God bless, and bye-bye.